So the topic today is career choices, and we are going to look at Ikigai, which is a model created based on a Japanese concept. And my argument is that Ikigai alone is not sufficient for you to make good decisions in your career, and I'm going to propose something called dynamic Ikigai. So stay tuned and don't go anywhere. Hi, welcome to Careers Cast, and today we are going to explore the concept of Ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese word that means something that brings value and joy to your life. It became popular in Western culture because two authors, Hector Garcia and Francisco Miralles, they went to Japan. They went to Okinawa. Okinawa is this place known for people with very long lives and apparently happier lives than normal. And they spend a lot of time there interviewing all these 100-year-old people and trying to understand what makes life satisfying and happy and joyful. And they came back, they wrote a book called Ikigai. I recommend picking up. And they created this model framework to be applied, right, to the world of work and career and help people to find joy and purpose in their work. So that's what it is. If you're watching this on video, I'm gonna put the diagram on the screen. Basically has four circles in a Venn diagram configuration. What you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. And it's very intuitive, it's very inspiring, it's very logical, right? That if you can stay in the center of that Venn diagram, that's your Ikigai, right? You're gonna be a happy, joyful, purposeful person. And so I really like this model, but as I said in the introduction, I don't find it very useful to make tangible decisions. And let me explain why. Uh, on the top left, right, what you love and what you're good at, which defines your passions, right? It is very difficult for you to know without actually doing it because the perception we have about work, right, when you're a student is very distorted. We believe a lawyer spends all their time in the court arguing in front of a judge. We think doctors are in the operating room, and we think computer scientists are, typing really fast in a terminal trying to get access to some system before the bomb explodes, right? And the truth is, uh, a doctor, a lawyer, a computer scientist, right, involves work that's very different from what we see on TV. And the only way for you to know, their day to day is actually experimenting and see it with your own eyes, right? And we tend to focus a lot on the title, not on the task people do day to day, and those are very different things. So it's important for you to actually experiment and find out what you love and what you're good at. If you take the other two circles, right, what the world needs and what you can be paid for, first, that's changing very fast, right? Jobs that paid a lot of money in the past, they don't pay today, and certainly will not pay money in the future. The world is changing because of technology, and the needs for people to do certain types of work are changing very fast. So it's very difficult, right? Though the model makes a lot of sense because we don't have enough data, or you don't have enough data, right? As an early career professional, it's not very useful for you to make decisions based on this model. So how do we go around it? How can you be inspired by this model and in real life, right, pursue work that is joyful and purposeful? I have two lines of advice. Number one, early in your career, don't be afraid of making frequent changes, right? In an early video, I said 2 years is a timeout, right? If you are early in your career, even if you're happy, even if you're still learning, consider changing jobs. Why is that? Because the only way you're going to find what you love and what you're good at is if you try different things, right? And if you do that, some people in my generation are going to say, oh, this is gonna look bad in your resume. People are gonna question the gap years in your resume. People are gonna think you're not persistent, or and that's a perception that did exist in the past, exists today, but it's not going to exist in the future, right? We are going to move into a world where people have to do that, right? Because things are evolving. And I can guarantee you that if you pick anyone you know who is successful, right, whatever your definition of success is, and you look at their resume, you're going to see that they made a lot of changes early in their career, right? And the people who worry more about consistency and safety, those are the people who stagnate mid-career, right? Changes is what is the catalyst to progression, to learning, to growth, right? I don't consider myself a model of success, but my career started as an engineer in a large company. I joined a startup after 3 years. The startup moved me from Brazil to California. We were successful here. We grew. I became the CTO of the company. And then we were acquired. I became the VP of strategy for a American public company after the acquisition. After 3 years, I got tired. I went back to startups. I was a consultant. I explored fiction writing. I ran workshops in Stanford. I did a lot of odd jobs in technology. And then I joined a mid-sized company, very successful there, sold the company. And then I joined Google as a senior director leading technology for large tech. And so if I say, right, I'm a senior director at Google, people are going to say, you must be very happy, you must be very successful. But if you look at my resume, right, it was a constant switching of different directions. And that's, in my view, is what led me to eventually, take a role at Google as a senior director. I'm saying this is not a unique case, right? Every person I know who is happy and successful, those people experimented with different things until they find what you love, until they find what you're good at, until you find joy in what you're doing. So that's the first advice. Don't be afraid of making changes. On the contrary, seek changes early in your career. That's how you're going to dance around that diagram and find your Ikigai. Advice number two, since we are children in our society, we are conditioned to associate our personal identity to the work we do, right? So when you are 5 years old, uncle comes and say, hey, what are you going to be when you grow up? Implying that what you do for work is going to define you as a person. So it's very difficult for us to detach identity from title at work, right? And I feel that. A year ago, if I say I am senior director at Google, right, people would think I'm successful, I'm happy, I'm purposeful, and my ego likes that, right? It's very feels very good when you say what you do for a living and people think you are happy and successful. If I do the same today, right, and people ask me, what do you do for a living? I say, well, I left Google. By the way, that was a voluntary change. And I am working with startups and I am exploring media because I want to enable the next generation of innovators, which is you. People look very worried and they says, hey, Marshall, do you need help finding a real job? Right? Because because I don't have the big title in a big company, people think I am not happy, I'm not successful, I don't have a purpose, right? And it's hard, right? Because I have an ego as well. So it is hard to disconnect those two things. And but it's the only way, right? If you disconnect those two things, it's the only way you're gonna have the courage to experiment and to find your ikigai. And if you do that, then you're gonna get the big title in the big company making a lot of money, because success and money and joy and purpose, they all come together, right? And the challenge is you need to break that connection in order to find it. And I think that's the the usefulness of this model is you focus on those things, not what people think, right? Not on the things that are taught to us when we are children. If you look for what you love, what you do well, and what's useful to other people, that's gonna create success. So if this is interesting to you, I hope it's inspiring to you, then please share and subscribe to this channel. And I see you in the next episode of Careers Cast.